Now, they say your life flashes in front of your eyes in the seconds before you die. Maybe it's the melanoma that spreads across your face as you remember all the things that you could have done. And this is exactly what is happening to Bill Murray. Now, dude is a legend. Do not get me wrong. We're not here to crap talk Bill Murray whatsoever. But he's up there in age. He's basically not going to be doing any acting anymore. And he has a regret that he told to Howard Stern on his podcast. And it's that he never worked with Clint Eastwood. Why Clint Eastwood? Because Clint Eastwood actually asked him. They asked each other. And Bill Murray turned it down. Now, he didn't turn it down in the way that you would expect him to have turned it down, because we've heard lots of stories about Bill Murray's demeanor whenever he's asked and approached for scripts and basically just to grace the screen with his presence. Everyone calls him a dick. But no, actually, Bill Murray reached out to Clint Eastwood first, but he didn't want to be typecast. Let's go a little bit further into it and see what he actually had to say about it. He has a few regrets over his eventful career, but there's one potential role he says he wish he hadn't turned down. I think everyone's going to have that moment in their life, especially Hollywood actors. I mean, Will Smith could have been Neo, and there's a video that's coming out in just about an hour or so that deals with Will Smith. Don't worry, we're going to keep him short today. The former SNL star told Howard Stern that he missed the chance to do a movie with Clint Eastwood, possibly out of fear of being typecast, because he had just done Stripes. I was watching the Clint Eastwood movies of the day, like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, or whatever the hell movies he was making, and then I thought his sidekick's killed, and he avenges them, but the sidekick gets like a great part, a great death scene. So this even goes further into the point that he didn't even want to be the leading man, or knew that he didn't need to be the leading man, because Clint could handle the film in the right way. Even all the way back then, coming off of making the 1981 hit comedy Stripes, and decided to call Eastwood and let him know he was interested, I was like, I got to call this guy. So I called him out of the blue. Back then, phone numbers were easy to get a hold of, I guess. And he said, would you ever want to do another service comedy? But he didn't want to basically become Abbott and Costello. He didn't want to be like a Laurel and Hardy. He didn't want anything to do like that. He'd done it once before. He wanted to move on to other things. The things that he moved on into, though, and especially later on in your life, and as you get older, obviously, you mature, your thoughts and viewpoints change. You're willing to try things that are out of your wheelhouse. But I think he could have done it, especially when he's the one that called, like, you got a role for me? I like what you do. Maybe he should have just trusted that Clinton knew what the hell he's doing. But hey, you live and you learn. Hindsight is 2020. Well, God, maybe I shouldn't, because it might be typecasting into like goofy military movies. And a few years later, Eastwood made that film that he probably would have offered the role to Bill too, called Heartbreak Ridge, in which Eastwood played Marine Gunny Sergeant Tom Highway. It's one of the few regrets I have, is that I didn't do it, because it was big scale. It would have been great. I don't know if I'd have gotten a great death scene. You might not have even died at all. It was more of a comedy, that one, but it was great. He had access to World War II boats. And he could have actually been on high profile sets and everything like that, man. And sometimes that's the lesson that we have to learn. I would assume that he learned this way sooner in his life than just having this little epiphany right now. It's like, yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you can't take. You already took the shot to call him. He said, would you be interested? And you shot it down. Like, no, just go with it, man. It didn't cost you nothing. Now, while Stripes was like the 5th highest grossing film of that year, for 1981, whenever it came out, it was the 5th highest grossing film of the year. And it did really like set him aside from Saturday Night Live, where he knew he could make it in film. And that's where a lot of the money is now. SNL later on, most of those guys were not being paid very well, or basically at all at the time. But hey, like I said, we're keeping them short. This is just one of those things. And I often think about this kind of stuff all the time. It's like just turning points in your life. I had the opportunity to do this. Did you take it? Did you at least give it a try? If you try and fail, there is no foul. There's no harm. There's actually a whole lot of respect for that. But if you had it right there, why not just do it? I think that's a lesson that all of us should put into life. Obviously, use discretion, We're not talking about doing dangerous things, but whenever it comes to artistic integrity and other, you're following your passions, if the opportunity arises, yeah, go for it. The worst that can happen is that you're back where you started and then you can go for something else. The best that can happen is that you're skyrocketed into success. You've made more friends. You have a whole lot more contacts in your phone. And I know that's what people in Hollywood are hiring for nowadays. How many followers do you have? How many contacts? Keep up with every little shot that you take. Anyway, there's not really a point to this story. It's just fun to talk about. This is Malty from Mouth of Malty. You could have been great, Bill. You already are great, but you could have been, a step above. You could have prestiged. Y'all have a great day and take care. Goodbye.